For 9 rounds, some of the best Mazda MX-5 drivers in all of iRacing have had one goal in mind: to win a series title. Two-time defending champion Robert Hartley has been in top form all season long, always running inside the top 10 positions. But this year, he has had to face his most challenging foe yet. Newcomer Racine Fazui quickly rose to the top of the series' much drivers list with his daring overtake attempts and wild moments. He enters tonight, though, with not just the most wins of Season 3, but also a slim points lead. However, with one race to go, the question remains: who will take home the Big C's MX-5 Challenge Championship? We're about to find out on the Global SimRacing channel. Welcome everyone to tonight's coverage of the GTR Countdown to Green, live from the virtual Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida, for the final round of Season 3 of Big C's MX-5 Challenge. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside the booth tonight is Adam Yun. Behind the scenes, the director Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by the great Dougie Beard. Today's pre-race coverage is presented by GTR Simulator. GTR's racing simulators are currently used as training aids for professional race car drivers. You too can learn that to ace that braking, sharpen those corners, and shave off those vital seconds. Whether you're a professional driver or a gamer looking for a more immersive way to play, GTR has your back. Get started today at GTRsimulator.com. But there's a lot to talk about today. First things first though here, Adam, the racetrack, because when it comes to Daytona and these type of cars, there's two things in mind: the draft and the challenges of the technical portion.
Yeah, I mean, once you get out in the oval portion of today, it's all about trying to use that draft of the person in front of you and seeing what you can do with it. Expect a lot of pack racing here for today, but it's also one of those things, especially the horseshoes. If you can get around the horseshoes here, do it efficiently, do it cleanly, you're going to have a good day. 12-turn layout, of course, 3.5 miles. This is a layout that, unlike most road courses that host major international events, it's been relatively untouched since about 1985, which is kind of crazy in this day and age. But that's the case, especially here for at Daytona. You know, and the best part about it was, of course, the addition of the lights. What was it now, about 18, 19 years ago? So it might even be longer than that. I don't know. All the years blend together, but Daytona is a track that has a very storied history. And why don't we go ahead and take a lap around the place with the GSRC MX-5.
All right, we've got Amjad Yammer to the GSRC Skippy, so let's do a lap around Daytona. Around the tri-oval and into turn 1, most cars require you to swing wide for the entry, but the underpowered Skippy is still fast, hugging the inside line. You'll let it drift out after braking and kind of take it as a double apex corner. The extra speed from the draft will probably make it easy to overshoot into there, so expect some big mistakes by drivers. Weave through the chicane, and then after the pit exit, bring the car all the way to the left. The International Horseshoe will offer a place to pass, and if you can get it done, try your best to pull away, or else your opponent will just slipstream by once again on the oval. Be sure to square off the exit for better speed up to the next horseshoe. After that, ease the car across the track, and without much oomph, you're going to easily hold the pedal flat to the floor through the kink. Try to get the car off to the left for braking into the western horseshoe. The tricky part about this bend is the way the track sharpens in the middle but widens on entry and exit. It honestly makes it very tough to get the car down to the apex. Bring it off to the right and then really focus on hitting your mark into turn 6. This is a critical corner because being late onto the power as you come to the oval will mean you'll lose time hand over fist. There's not much to say about the banking because you'll only get up to about 120 miles an hour when by yourself. Smooth out your inputs and hug the double yellow line. Skipping ahead to the bus stop, though this is a popular spot for overtakes, this double chicane often causes problems when cars enter too wide. Cut course penalties can also cost you dearly, so take it to the edge at your peril. Once again, the sooner you can put your right foot down, the better off your laps will be as we now hit NASCAR 3 and 4. From here to the start-finish line, you'll just hold down to the inside. As I mentioned before, draft battles will make up a big chunk of the race, and you may have to play it more strategic than gutsy. But now that we've hit the tri-oval once more, you've now finished a lap around Daytona.
That was Joe Peak, fourth year GSRC lap guide in the Skip Barber. Apologies for that. But, of course, a lot of some of the stuff mentioned that still apply here, especially with the bumps as we get ready to go racing to the lights that have been around since the late 1990s, set up for the 1998 Pepsi 400. But there's a lot to talk about again for this event today, including the pressure with the championship. Racine Fazui currently has the lead in factored in drop weeks by 10 points over Robert Hartley. 173 to 163 is the difference amongst those two drivers. Brendan Hawking comes in the standings today in third with 133. Marcelo Pagnon in with 120 in fourth. And Juan Manuel Fernandez with 96 rounding out the top five. But drivers like Yaroslav Sabala, Nico Arwilomi, Alan Catali, Clifford Eben, and Yarm Delalas Torres are still looking to clinch themselves inside the top 10. But what that means here, Adam, though, for the championship picture is for Racine to secure the championship, he must finish on the podium first to third. If he finishes fourth or lower, that leaves the door open for Hartley to take a third straight championship.
That'll be what we're watching out there for today. Is it's going to be all about, at that point, you want to keep Hartley in sight. And if you can keep Hartley in sight, you're probably going to have a championship winning driver there, whether that be maybe one car ahead, one car behind. But obviously you want to finish in the podium. But if all else fails, keep him in sight.
Indeed, so far. But Adam, let's take a look at those race details. But it's because it's the 10th and final round of the season, and drivers are all set for 40 laps of throwing action here. Big setups, as noted, 20-point incident cap that's been set since the middle portion of the round, with the top 15 scoring points. Two fast repairs are available, but of course there is the fuel limit that has been a factor much of the year. 3.3 gallons is the difference in the tanks. That can go around 25 minutes, and with the draft today, the lead car, or who is that lead car and who's in the draft, might be important for pit strategy.
Yeah, strategy is going to play a big role here. And not only that, just the simple dynamics of getting on pit road and getting off pit road. When you're going to be seeing the pack racing like you're seeing here for today, even that couple of hundredths or couple of tenths of a second that you could lose going in, getting in or off of pit road, could be the difference between finishing maybe third or finishing maybe eighth or ninth. So it's going to be key today as far as the strategy and pitting at the right time, but not only that, getting on and off in the right way.
And not only that, when it comes to Daytona, track position is important, especially in the MX-5s we've seen. Qualifying listings are on the left side of your screen. Currently on the provisional pole is Brendan Hawkin with a 2:10.5. No one else has broken that bracket. Marcel Pagnon, Kenny Brady round out the top three with Stephen Van Oxtro and Nico Kako rounding out the top five at the moment. Majority of that top five are Ravana Racing machines. But as we've seen with this track, if someone makes mistakes, especially in around the International Horseshoe, let's say, around turns 4, 5, and 6, and loses time there, it makes it difficult to keep up with the lead pack, as we've seen multiple times across the iRacing's various different networks here in these Mazdas.
Yeah, it does. And, so you got to try to minimize that. And then, there's a lot about today, Justin. It's going to be about just seeing what happens. And it's always a good one to look forward to. Putting a championship finale in a place like Daytona, especially on the old layout here at Daytona, where it's just nice and bumpy and everything else. I mean, it's going to be a challenge to drive. It's going to be fun to watch this race.
And as we look at Nico Kako right now, currently listed inside the top five here, you mentioned the bumps there. How much of a difference do you feel that makes compared to the repay version that came a few years afterwards to the iRacing service?
In this car, it's not going to make as much of a difference as in some other cars, but it still will. The horseshoes aren't as smooth. On the oval isn't as smooth. You've got to be careful about, even a little bit more careful about getting onto the oval. We can't, I know I've talked about horseshoes being key, but you can't mistake the fact that turn 6, when you take that left-hander there and you try to get up on the oval, you're going to have a lot of bumps there. I've seen wheels spin there because of the bumps, and that's going to be pretty crucial about managing that and hitting them just the right way to where you're not putting yourself in trouble.
keep an eye on more of these drivers for qualifying. You're looking at Austin Johnson, but coming across the stripe, for example, just now is the next group of drivers for the Movado Racing machines. We're also looking at this orange machine here with their qualifying run curling towards the back half of the field. And it's important to be in the draft too with qualifying here, Adam. If you're like this driver with nobody around, that could be a difference of about a second or two a lap attempt, essentially. That's why a lot of teams, if you have teammates, like to work together to get to the stripe.
Yeah, in multi-car qualifying, that's a strategy at Daytona in any car. Get out there with teammates, get out there with whoever you work well together, and try to use each other, work together, and try to get that good lap time. And you want to be able to be up front here, because going into that first corner, that's a place where it's going to be calamity. So if you're able to get up into the top 10, you have a much better chance of getting through things unscathed. And that's where working together with your teammates and your friends and everybody else, that's where that's going to come into fruition and be able to take advantage of that.
Last car to cross the stripe, didn't really have anyone around them. Lee Martin still in 22nd, didn't record an official time either. Other drivers are still trying to get out of the pit lane. They have about 4 minutes or so, just under that mark, in fact, already. Approaching 3 minutes to get their fastest qualifying attempt. This group you're seeing here features Stephen Van Opstroll currently working with Torres, Christopher Taylor, Rachel Williams, who's back from Canadian Tire Motorsports Parks round, and Clifford Eben also looking to secure. We also have these two drivers trying to draft. That white Mazda MX-5 has been working with a lot of drivers in Seeger. Can this time be helped here with that black machine? Yes, indeed. A pretty decent time, it looks like. They're around the I believe it said 2:13s.
So right now, what we're looking at, you got to kind of have to take out Hawken with how good his time is. I mean, he's just worlds above, but going for about second place to 10th, you got everybody within a second of each other.
Pagenaud trying to work with, it looks like, Fernandez there, who moves himself up to second spot. So you were saying about the 210s? Fernandez just had a 210.858, not high enough for the pole, but enough to get him onto the front row. Arwie Lomi not running with the group at the moment, meanwhile, looking to try and get good track position still. He is currently in 9th in qualifying with a 2:11.7. And he's had a pretty decent season here, Adam.
He has. And looking over at Nick Carty, you'll see how he's going here.
And there's a car off the grass in that group. Rachel Williams already missing the back part of the bus stop. He's able to pass on by that quickly, Nick Carty, but he is able to draft off the back of Robert Hartley. Hartley, though, is only 10th in qualifying. Bazooey is currently in 8th on the board. That's on the left side of your screen here. So Hartley might need somebody to work with here. He's trying to get to the back of Evan, just like how Carty's trying to get to the back of Hartley. The difference in the draft, 126 at the moment for Hartley, 128 and growing down the straightaway for Carty. Doesn't record an official time, though. That likely will indicate he might have clipped somewhere through the bus stop section, maybe. Let's look back to Hawken, meanwhile, because he is trying to help his teammates here. Currently, amongst some of the fastest drivers we've seen in qualifying, a 2:10.5, and is trying to help Kenny Brady. Brady's currently in 5th position, and it looks like Brady actually checked up a bit that time as he tried to duck out. Doesn't have an official time recorded that time, so Brady might have to go one more time here. They might have enough to do so here. Brian Tobolski currently on his own as well. But in other words here, as mentioned, the championship competitors are now in 9th. And as well, currently shifting around things still for guys like Hartley, because Hartley bumped himself up to 3rd last time by.
And working with that pack there this time, that includes Taylor, Opstall, and Torres. So, of course, that is the checkered flag for qualifying now. So once guys come across this time, it'll be their last timed lap.
Arwie Lomi having a decent chance here to bump up his time inside the top 10, working with a teammate, cutting to the apron to cut some time off. Not an official time though, might have gotten a clipped X somewhere on the circuit. Arwie Lomi not able to put in another official time, currently still in 10th. Torres also looking to try and move himself up. He is amongst the drivers that are in one of the last big groups of qualifying. He's at the back end. The car that's at the head of this group, though, is currently Robert Hartley. Keep an eye here on this yellow and black machine, though, currently looking to move himself up. The drivers in front of him are either already inside the top 10 or just in front of him. Instead, he decides to duck it down to the pit lane, happy with his position at the moment here. But keep an eye, not just on Seeger there, that just spun around to the bus stop. If we can head towards Racine Fazui, he is trying to, looks like, get one last lap attempt on the back end of Richard Mason. Currently about a 4-car length advantage in front is Mason in the 37 car that is yet to record a qualifying time. But Fazui wanting to keep up with his championship competitor. Hartley in third at the moment. Can he top him on the timesheet, this time by 126 miles an hour at the stripe? No, only gets to 7th. So he'll have 4 positions back of his championship competitor when we take the green lights today.
That goes right there, though. You want to try to keep him in sight. So he is able to keep him in sight there, but you'd like to close that gap a little bit more.
Couple more drivers are ready to come across the stripe, but they are all just about set for the SimRacing Studios starting grid. Want to enhance your sim racing experience but don't feel like spending hours doing it? SimRacing Studio creates a plug-in sim racing accessories and software to enhance your experience without any DIY effort. Go to simracingstudio.com for more information. But the drivers are getting all set to go here. Drivers have been instructed to fill to 2.3 gallons in the pits to try and make it. But Brandon Hucken will be the first driver to attack his way into turn 1 as the pole sitter. Juan Manuel Fernandez starts in second with Robert Hartley in third. Marcel Pagenon starts in fourth with Kenny Brady rounding out the top 5. 2 drivers for Movano Racing in that grouping. Stephen Van Alstroll starts in 6th with Racine Fazui needing to gain some positions to his championship competitors, starting in 7th. Nico Kaku starts in 8th with Clifford Evan and Nico Arilomi rounding out the top 10 starting positions. Adam.
Yeah, going to 11th spot, Jaume Dalmasis Torres, he'll be in 11th position. Rachel Williams, he'll be in 12th. Christopher Taylor, 13th. Owen Watson, 14th. They'll make rows 6 to 7. David Siska and Nick Carty, they'll be in row 8. Row 9, Atsushi Medea and Anthony Downs, they'll be in 17th and 18th. James McRitchie in 19th and Peter Bostrel in 20th.
Young Seeger starts in 21st with Fabian Pons in 22nd. Paulo Cambra starting with his first appearance of the year in a little while in 23rd. Austin J. Smith in 24th. Austin Johnson starts in 25th in the 213 range with Jose Melbran in 26th in the Subway Machine. Lee Martin starts 27th in the 213, while Brian Zabalski qualified much of the time on his own in the 214s and 28th. Christian Lindroff 29th. Rounding out the top 30 is Jorge Adonis Valegias. Let's quickly go towards the next group in the cars as Savant Prem, Rui Combla, and Renaud Lefebvre round out the drivers that recorded qualifying times. Sergio Garcia Lopez, Luis Felipe Calderon, Anthony Burrows, Kip Stevens, Richard Mason, Lawrence Coleman, Glenn Berdrand, and Brian Bernhardt round out the drivers that have registered for today's event. 41 drivers are getting all set to go for the green lights for racing action for the Big C's MX-5 Challenge season finale for campaign number 3. The question is, who's going to take the championship as they get all set to go for the lights and wait for the last of the drivers to take the grid at them?
Yeah, still waiting on a few guys to get out there here, including, it looks like, right now, I don't think I see Hartley out there here at the moment, so wait for him to take the grid.
Again, they have about 1 minute and 50 seconds to get into their cars, bring them onto the racetrack, and get them ready for the standing start here at Daytona. Already most of the cars lined up on the front stretch and ready to dive it hard into turn 1 and to quickly approach their way towards the International Horseshoe. Hartley has made his way on the track. The last of the machines are all set to go, as the red lights appear for the drivers. Who will take home the championship and who will take home the race victory? We're about to find out live from Daytona International Speedway's road course. The engines rev, the green lights are off. We're away and racing for round number 10 of the Big C's MX-5 Challenge.
Seemed like most everybody handled the banked standing start. That could sometimes be an issue. Hawkins going to have him going down into turn 1 here. Fernandez looks like he'll be able to slot into second in front of Hartley, then followed by Pengen, Brady, and Fazui.
A lot of cars crashing at the edge of the top 20. 2, 3, 4 cars stacking up in the exit of turn 1. But we'll follow along with the race leaders for the time being as Hawkins and much of the lead group already single file. Fernandez to second, Hartley third, Pajnon in fourth, Brady in fifth. Fazui, though, was able to get by Van Almstroh to get to sixth as they head towards turn number 5 and 6 before they head back onto the banking.
So far, it still looks like the top 20 up until that has been able to be clean. And then I say that Nico Kakko has a big off. Able to get it back under control. Arvalami's going to look to the outside of him going through turn 6. He's not able to do anything with it. It's a slide up onto the banking here for their first trip around.
And this doesn't help that grouping of drivers that are just behind the lead group. Is if you're side by side for too long, even on the opening laps, you might lose reach of the lead pack. Right now, at the edge of that grouping, we're seeing Fazui. Currently, you're still looking at that side by side, though, 4 drivers going now 3 wide down the backstretch, heading towards the bus stop. A bit early for the fighting, but Arwi Lomi trying to ride the high side middle line. Sees Kakko, gets off the brakes. Eben, though, forced to check up big time at the bottom part of the bus stop.
They do survive that at least, though. Now, Nico here's got to be careful. I saw him dip those left tires below the yellow line. Now, there's no rule against that here, at least that I'm aware of, but the banking does cut out pretty quickly, and that could upset the car if you're not careful.
Estimated 19 laps to go with the stripe, with about 37 minutes closing in this time by, as a lot of shuffling has to be expected with the Mazdas. Hartley to the race lead to end the first completion of the event. Pajnon currently up to second, but Hawkins sacrificing the lead to get behind the drivers. Fazui also having his teammates help him get through the field quickly, but we've seen this multiple times when it comes to the Mazdas at Daytona, is drivers constantly swapping back and forth for the race lead, sometimes every lap in the early portion of the event. We've seen that with the Mazda Hot Lap Challenge, in fact, earlier this year, when there was a lot of stake on the line there too.
And just looking at how people are stacking up here, something had to have happened to Arvalami here. Oh, big contact going into turn 1 that last time by between Arvalami, Torres, and Kakko. They went 3 wide into turn 1, and
we're going to take a look at the replay there because, again, that grouping was the second pack of drivers going 3 wide. It's about 20 seconds past that point. Arvalami had already made the contact at the initial point. But when you take a look here, again, we mentioned drivers potentially going back and forth every single lap. But in the case of Arvalami, he ended up going 3 wide with the contact, had contact from his teammate that was trying to, and Kakko was trying to get around Torres as well. Kakko had ended up reflecting his way off Torres. We apologize there for that there, but let's go back to the front. In our words, Kakko, Torres making contact, gets to Arvalami. Arvalami loses all the track position. Back to the lead group, though. It's going to be interesting how this goes. Hartley with a big-time run in front, while Pajnon cuts underneath Brendan Hawkins. Brendan Hawkins going to the back of the group of Movado racing machines, as Fazui is in the midst of that. However, they're going to have a big run here, Adam, on Hartley. He was about 6 car lengths ahead of these drivers out of the bus stop.
oh yeah, and that's going to be the trend here. He's able to keep the lead here at least initially, going through into turn one. But that Movano pack back there, they're still hunting them down. Now they're working right now. This is where having teammates up here in the mix is going to help, as they are able to work together and try to keep Razim in a championship spot, because they moved him up into third position. If Hartley wins this race, that would mean that Razim has to finish fourth or lower. So they moved him into third, and that's going to be, right now, that would hand the championship to Razim. Now, granted, we still got 34 minutes of racing here, but you get the idea.
Taking a look now back from the back end of Hartley's machine, as the race leader was the fastest driver last time by. You might have noticed in the top corner moments ago. So Hartley does have the pace despite the front, but again, with this being a very draft-heavy racetrack, fuel strategy definitely has to come into play here, Adam. So again, 25 minutes about is the estimated distance drivers can go, and you kind of don't want to be the lead car because that burns a lot extra fuel.
Oh, I just saw Clifford Aben get involved in an accident here. But that's, go back and take a look at it. But that's the other point I want to bring up, is that pit strategy is going to be key here, Justin. But there's still a big aspect to staying out of trouble. I'm seeing a lot of guys have problems losing the back end.
Let's take a look at the GSRC replay here. This was in the International Horseshoe, and it's, I believe, a few moments before after that.
Coming up into turn 6 up here, where the car will spin out in front of him, will try to rejoin the track, and Clifford will have nowhere to go.
He had just gone in an incident, as what I was looking at there initially, what you're referring to there in the International Horseshoe, and then that happened. So it was 2 incidents in the span of about 30 seconds.
Here's Hartley getting passed for the lead right now. Razim Fazouhi is going to move himself up. Well, with a little help from Pangan.
Lights are on for the cars too, so they are going to be racing in towards the dusk. The front headlights on the machines, but as to be expected with the draft, the lead has shifted around. Fazouhi up to the lead for the first time today. And behind them, a big dive bomb trying to break things up. Brady leaves the bottom side open. Fernandez looking to fight his way into the top 5 again. Stuck side by side heading towards turn 4. Fernandez backs off as he was forced again on that higher line through turn 4. Gets back to the preferred line, back to single file they go, and keeps the lead group. With still 7 drivers here, you have to wonder, how long, Adam, do you think this group can stay with so many cars here, because there's still a ways to go in this event?
Pit stops have a way of breaking people up, and that'll be one thing that we'll be looking at here when they happen. Until then, as long as they can stay off each other, this pack will probably stay together.
Indeed, and of course, Brady's currently actually having the cushion grow up a little bit from his teammate Brandon Hawken, but keep an eye towards the bus stop once again. Pagnon deciding to back off the gas, allow himself to save fuel, and ends up staying single file heading to the bus stop. So far, a majority of the passes in this lead group have taken place on the front stretch at the start and finish line, and a majority of the air times seems drivers wanting to save the fuel to keep their fuel windows as open as they can.
Seeing here, looking around, we'll go up to P8.
Let's stay with the race lead again, though, meanwhile, as Pagnon tries to make the run on the high side, gets on by Fazouhi. And once again, a swap for position, again helping save fuel now. Marcello for Razim this time. Hartley is back to third, but diving down to the inside goes back Razim. Razim wants that lead back, and it looks like his teammate going to fight for him a bit, but lets him back in, heading towards the International Horseshoe. And this might make it difficult here for the Excite Racing machine of Hartley, because it's 4 Movano Racing machines against 1 Excite Racing car. Much of his teammates are still either marred in traffic or not able to make this final round.
Yeah, so he doesn't have a lot of friends up there right now, and where Fuzui has quite a few. So he's going to have to fight in order to stay up there. But like I was saying, for Fuzui, obviously his big deal is to keep him in sight or keep him back, and his teammates are definitely helping him out with that right now as Hartley mired back in fourth position.
And at this point, it's very early on, yes, in this event. But you have to wonder what will Hartley do. Back to the battle for 8th, though. That's amongst that second group we were referring to. It has broken up a little bit with some mistakes by drivers like Taylor, which is why some of the intervals are starting to grow in the back of the half of that bottom graphic. But McRitchie, Watts, and David Siska all want to try and do something here. All those drivers started outside the top 10. Adam.
Able to take advantage on some of those accidents, especially the ones that happened in turn one just about 5 or 6 laps ago. With the big jam up that happened there, they were all able to slide by, and that's why they were able to get themselves up into the positions they are now, which works out pretty good. Now they just got to take care of each other. They're a good ways off the lead, about 10 seconds back, but you do want to try to separate yourself back from that second pack that's going with Lindroth, Taylor, and Bostrel.
And the difference with the numbers here, with some of the nutsness, 2 12s right now for the lead drivers, 2 11s for whoever's got the most amount of draft. That group we had previously seen in the 2 13s. This time by, they actually drop towards that pace. The Brandon Hawkin retakes the race lead once more. And when it comes to this draft effect with these Mazda MX-5s here, it's going to be potentially nuts all the way to the last lap if somebody's got a chance to use a slingshot here on Adam. Still a ways towards that point, but with 14 estimated laps to go, that pass time by the stripe, that's not a lot of time in Daytona speak.
No, it's not, and I mean we're going to be going pretty quick here in regards to the fact that the 28 minutes we got left is going to fly by quick. Now, these 4 cars here, these Movano machines, they're going to settle it amongst themselves. That's their goal, is to try to settle amongst themselves and leave Hartley completely out of the picture.
Looking at the picture now for battling for the points at the moment. The car that's leading this group is currently Jose Melbrand with Rui Colbraya, I should say, Austin J. Smith, Rachel Williams, who is back in the machine, the A51 car, as well as Sergio Garcia Lopez. There's actually a couple A51 machines in the race today. It's good to see Rachel Williams back into the car, as Rachel nearly saw the front nose off of Lopez's machine. On board with her, with Rachel Williams' car at the moment. Right now in the 2:16s last time by, and is trying to keep up with that draft. Major amount of difference in car lengths though, Adam.
Yeah, that's for sure. These guys still trying to find whatever speed they can, but that's a big difference in speed to try to be hanging on.
Jonas Seeger also now a part of the A51 crew of drivers, as there was a swap for position in front of the Malbrand, making the pass to get to the lead car of the group. It can get nuts, as you can probably already tell with positioning right now. By the way, Seeger is already out of the race. For reference sake, Seeger was amongst the drivers with some early incidents that ended up wrecking a part of the opening lap, is now a lap down. To the front of the pack we go, where drivers continue to shuffle for the race lead. Pajnon is now in the lead. Hawkin is now second. Fuzui is now in third. And Brady is back up to fourth. So the Movano cars have shuffled Hartley out of the top 4. Behind them, still Steven Van Opstroh has been having a strong race, have been setting some of the faster times of the day with the draft, along with Fernandez. And again, 26 minutes to go, with a lot of racing to go on this racetrack here. At this point, still a ways to go. Adam, who are you looking at potentially to try and potentially be a favorite at this point with it going back and forth?
Oh, right now, anybody 1st through 7th has a chance out of this, and I'm not going to call that right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, nobody's really been able to set themselves up as dominant, but that's what I expect in this type of racing, and still having a nice wide pack here. Right now, if I was them, I'd be just trying to get comfortable, because wait till the pit stops, try to stay together in the pit stops, and then in the last 10 minutes of this race, then go get racy, and then maybe we can get an idea of who might come out on top of this. I will say, though, that that pack needs to bunch back up together. They might start losing each other.
Meanwhile, that pack for 14th has also been going 3 wide for position still, again through the technical portion of the track. Reed Cambria still trying to work on that high side. Malbrand still on the bottom side. But them and Austin Smith can't seem to decide amongst themselves who they want as the lead car. Smith backs out this time, but Malbrand still trying to fight. It's been him and that 78 machine going back and forth as the lead car much of the day. And Jose Malbrand with a great run to the bus stop from that side-by-side checkup. As that's been going on, the leaders have been swapping positions back and forth. Hartley's back to the top 4. Let's head towards that direction. Hartley was 4th at the stripe, dropped back to 5th though. It's side by side for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
He tried to make that outside through turn 1 work, and instead he's going to have to fight off Obstacle to hang on to that 4th position. He will be able to, at least this time by, but I think he knows that, oh, no, he's going to slide wide through the horseshoe here. He's able to keep it off the grass, but Obstacle is going to have a good run here. He will have the inside going through the kink, though. See if he's able to hold on to it, but that does put him in through the outside, going through the international horseshoe here in just a second. Obstacle's going to give it up. So that will allow Hartley to cut down on the inside, seal that up. Now, Hartley, I think, is realizing that he's got to get up there and try to break up that Movano pack, or they're just going to do their best to try to drive away.
Yeah, especially with the importance of the draft, and those teammates have to definitely know what the point situation is. Because if Racine finishes anywhere 4th or below, that applies a lot of pressure towards the points calculation. If he stays in the top 3, which his teammates are helping him do with Brady as a cushion car to him, he's right where Racine needs to be to secure this title. But there's still a ways to go. And I think that's what they're trying to keep.
Yeah, I mean, there is a ton of time still to go here. It's all about keeping it in reach, though, and that's what Hartley has to do by trying to get up there. But Movano teammates, I mean, they're going to do their best to try to keep him off of Zoe's back end. I'm not saying by that insinuating he's going to try to dump him or anything else. It's just that they want to be able to keep Zoe in that spot that's going to lock up the championship for him. And having Hartley right there, that doesn't work for them.
Problem is, though, he didn't have a good run Racine through the bus stop. That's allowed Hartley to try and go side by side with Brady. Heading towards the front stretch again, Racine trying to draft off Pagenaud, his teammate. Cutting towards the top side, Hartley trying to take that high side, can't get there. Trying to outbrake him, having a bit of wheel hop, and still forced side by side with Brady heading into the infield portion.
He's going to have position here going through the horseshoe. He might be able to complete that pass. Indeed, Brady will give up the ghost. See if he can get a run here on him going into the exits. They head toward the kink. In a higher powered car, Justin, that move on the outside of turn 1 can work pretty well. It just takes so long to re-spool up the Mazda that is a tough move to make in these cars. And, well, Hartley was just able to pull it off.
Yeah, that got him backed up to 4th spot, but now the question is, can he try and make a move on Racine? There's still an estimated 11 laps to go with 21 minutes on the clock, closing down to that point for the final round of the Big C's MX-5 Challenge for season number 3. Again, trying to fight is the 2-time defending champion in Hartley, while Verzuli tries to fight to try and win his first series championship amongst this top 3. Verzuli checking up, but Hartley having a bit of a run. Lets off the gas as he looks to save some fuel here and keep it a 6-car train. At the back end of this, Fernandez has about lost the draft.
As we say that, he closes up a little bit to the back end of Upstill. May not be enough here, but looking at who's getting a good run here this time, coming through NASCAR 3 into NASCAR 4, Fazzoe here, he's doing his best to try to get a run. He's starting to lift just a touch again. I think, yeah, he's going into fuel-saving mode for sure. Hartley, though, Hartley's going to looks like he might try to make a move. He's going to swing to the outside. Got to be careful with this. Fazzoe's just going to let him by. Hartley's going to try to move up to second. He's got eyes on going back to the lead here. From fourth going all the way back to the front.
Hartley taking advantage of the drunk teammate, saving fuel on the bottom side. Doesn't lift, goes 130 miles an hour to the race lead. So he's back up to the point. Remember, he led the closing stage of lap number 1 as well. Now, though, we've reached the halfway point of this race. The drivers will have about 5 minutes or so of fuel left to go. When do you pit at this point? And if you're Hartley, how do you make sure you don't drift like that again? By the way, the third group of drivers has already ducked down to pit this last time by of Taylor and Mick Ritchie. When do you pit if you're the lead cars to join these machines?
Yeah, you have to all pit together. You got to try to plan that. If you're Hartley, you definitely want to try to pit when you're going to go with those Melvano cars. If you're the Melvano cars, you want to try to pit when Hartley doesn't. So you want to pit separate. But that's the kind of strategy that's going to work out here.
Right now they're going back through NASCAR 1 and 2. On the bottom side, Hartley running all the way down to the yellow line alongside some of the bumps. Ashnan currently also saving, Hawkin currently in third, Fazzoe in fourth. Kenny Brady is now letting some drivers by as well at the back end of the group. Back to the bus stop once again, and we've seen how important again this bus stop has been and where some of the driver comfortability has been. Hartley looking the most comfortable again this time, able to carry a lot more speed compared to the R3 behind.
Yeah, but the lower gap you open up there, that's going to allow them to get the bigger run. Now, on the flip side of what we were just talking about with pit strategy here, too, this actually could be a disadvantage for Hartley being up in the lead. He won't have as much time to react to what those Melvano cars do. If he was sitting in third or fourth, he'd have a better chance of coming down with them. But being up in the lead, you're going to have to definitely be looking at your rear view mirror and try to predict when they might try to come down.
And it looks like nobody in the lead group ducked down this time, while Steven Van Opstroll ended up jumping his way up to 4th spot. So right now, they're inside the pit window to try and go on fuel here. And then it's going to become the matter of, do you put in enough fuel? Because we've seen a couple times, and Racim's own victories on the campaign, Adam. He ran out of fuel coming to the stripe. This is the one track, I think, on the schedule where you can't risk that.
Oh, no, you absolutely can't. You need to have a little bit extra. You need to be having this planned out completely. You don't know what your fuel usage is going to be like through the run either. I mean, you might end up with a lap or two where you have no drafting help, or you might end up with the lead like Hartley. So taking a little bit of extra probably will help you a little bit, but you got to be careful about not taking too much extra because, well, that's just time.
Back towards NASCAR turn 1 they go again with the banking. We did see one more car duck down to Christian Lindroff, who was setting some of the fastest times of the day, but mostly everybody else is still on the track. As a matter of fact, 15th on forward is yet to pit on the racetrack. Hartley trying to pull forward a bit, while the rest of the grouping still stays single file. Let's head back to P13 meanwhile as they shuffle around for positions at the edge of the points battle. Again, they have to still pit, but the Spoon Sports car currently leading that group, while that yellow, red, and black machine, Avashui Medea, currently runs in 14th with a little bit of left front damage. Adam.
Yeah, I'm still focused here on the lead pack right now, just waiting for everybody to come down pit road. Race is starting to thin itself out, particularly in the back. Got lots of guys not running in packs, being separated, so a few guys do. But that lead pack right now, 1st through 7th spot, they are. In fact, here they come. This looks like it. Hartley reacts. Hartley's going to try to come down with him. Is he able to get slowed up in time? Ooh, we got to make sure that he didn't end up with a penalty there. I think it was close if he was. But that was exactly what I was talking about. Hartley had to react to what was going on in his mirror.
Driver's ducking down. We'll take a look at this entry. One thing to think about. You have to make the pit speed not at the yellow lines per se, but have that average down for the beginning of the first sector of the pit lane. Hartley was in the 60-mile-an-hour range at that yellow cone. We'll have to see if he ended up getting a penalty. This could be his championship here. No, he did not. Off and away they go. About 16 seconds of fuel. Adam Racine comes out of the pits first. Cuts to the grass. Hartley comes out second. Pagnon, Van Alpstroe fourth. Hawken, Brady, and Fernandez all stay together as a group inside the top 7. The second group of drivers have also ducked down of Williams, Watts, Siska, and Carney amongst others. So everyone's coming down this time by.
And already it looks like Hartley's going to be under attack from Pagnon. And he's going to be able to fend him off here as they head into the kink. But Zooey has himself a nice big gap there, but he's going back to him and Hartley. Now that could come back to hurt him. Oh, actually, he's going to run wide through International Horseshoe. Hartley takes a look, isn't able to get his nose in there before he does. And looks like Sean was blinking there just a touch. He's going to try to take a look at the outside, but thinks better of it is, well, you really don't want to try to force the issue going to the outside there through turn 6.
Here's the concern, though, if you're Racine. He took the least amount of fuel of the entire group. 14.6 seconds of gas put in the tank, Adam. Does that sound like enough? Because, again, he's run it a couple times trying to get to that razor's edge.
I think he'll probably be okay. He knows what's on the line here for today. And I just don't think anybody in that lead group took chances.
Everybody else took 16, 17 seconds of fuel. Some drivers in the
same
second
time
took 20.
Zooey also was the one saving the most in that lead pack. So don't forget that.
Indeed. So it's going to be curious to see what happens here. Hartley still trying to now peek a little bit out on the high side. Looking to see if he can get the run off the banking. Comes back down. Gets the draft, picks it back up. Working with Marcello. Marcello goes to the high side. 3 wide for the race lead again. Hartley passes right on by Racine. Hartley leads the lap. Back to the point he goes with an estimated 7 to go.
Now they're getting racy. Figured it might be around that 10-minute mark. A little bit sooner than that, but They know what's going on here. Now, the Hartley's in the disadvantage. The Movano teammates are going to do their best to keep Zooey in that spot that will guarantee him the championship. But even then, things can happen when you get racy. So you don't want to get too racy for those Movano guys. Now, Hartley needs to win this race, and that's exactly what he's going out there to try to do.
Yeah, especially since, for the championship, it would help his case if he can win it. But he also needs Racine to drop down to 4th. With the championship picture, quickly going to take that glance at that again. For Hartley to win the championship, he needs Racine to finish 4th or lower. Essentially to try and win it here. Hartley, if he finishes, say, 2nd, would need Racine to go 7th on the finishing order. If Hartley finishes 3rd, he'll need Racine to go in 8th position and so forth. For Racine, again, all it takes is finishing on the podium. If he finishes 4th, needs Hartley to finish 2nd or lower. Finishes 5th, needs the same case. Finishes 6th, needs Hartley to be on the 3rd step of the podium along with 7th. In other words, with this type of track, it could be nuts. Especially with 4 Thrustmaster Movano machines still lined up and the final 4 positions of the top 5. Looking back at Hartley here again, but as we've seen, he's been the best in the bus stop. But again, every single time we've had a big run, the driver who has that big run out of the bus stop loses it by the exit of turn 4. Racine electing to save fuel. Again, he took the least amount of fuel in the grouping. His teammate stays on the high side. Pagnon wants to try and make the pass. He'll try and fall. Fazuli trying to follow his Movano Racing teammate on the high side. Marcello leads the lap this time again. But once more, Hartley ditched to the bottom side as they go back side by side. Pagenaud tries to outbrake him heading into turn 1, fighting hard with the Excite Racing machine on the bottom side.
iRacing here, and that is right now, that would set Pagenaud to be on the inside, going through the horseshoe here. Look for Hartley to really try to force the outside, try to get it to work, not able to do it. That's going to open up the door for Fuzui here. However, Hartley will have the inside here going to the kink. He's trying to come back to the inside of Pagenaud. See if he's able to do it. Going too wide through the kinks, always a little tricky, no matter what kind of car you're driving. They're able to pull it off there, and he's still able to hold that outside. That's going to put him here on the inside going into 6. He's going to slot back in beside Pagenaud here, as well as Fuzui slotting back in behind Hartley.
Fuzui again tucked in behind his championship competitor. That 7 is where he needs to be for the championship. And that leads to the question, if you or any of your teammates that are behind you, do you just let the championship play itself out, or do you keep on fighting at this point? Looking on board for the 7 machine, but at this point, you have two teammates behind you. If you're one of those drivers, do you try and get a run and make a pass, or you just let off the gas and let the drivers play themselves out?
Oh, if you're his teammates, I think at this point, I mean, you're going to do what you can within reason to help him win the championship. Now, last lap, anything could go, but it really kind of depends on how tight of a group these guys are, I guess. The real test will be right here is if anybody goes with Hartley, and it doesn't look like anybody really will except for Brady. Brady's going to sneak it up there. I think that might just be to try to keep some draft going there.
Hartley side by side on the bottom side. Pagenaud having Kenny Brady, meanwhile, get a huge run on the back end of the Excite Racing car. Ends up letting back off the gas as they're now side by side, 3 rows deep in the lead group with an estimated 4 to go. Big checkup on the bottom side by Racine Fuzui ends up causing a bottleneck for Joaquin Fernandez as well as Van Opstroll as they go back single file in the top 4.
Ooh, Hartley goes a little bit wide, rear end loses a little bit of grip. That's going to cost him some time. Pagenaud just sticking right there with him, though.
And Hartley did that once before, just before the opening of the pit window for these cars. Still keeping the lead, though. A bit of a back wheel drift on the corner entry into turn 5. Taking that high line exit once more. Track conditions just a cool 80 degrees Fahrenheit at the moment for the track temp, 77 degrees the air temp. Track conditions not a factor. It will come down to the drivers here with a lot of grip. And the lights calmly dimming down across the skyline, and the lights above them on the track on.
You gave your championship scenarios earlier. Right now, if the race was to finish right now, Hartley would be your championship, with Fuzui sitting back there in 4th.
And right now, Racine needing another position, but he's still got a ways to go with the draft. His teammates trying to help him. Marcel Pagenaud going to the high side, gets by Hartley. Hartley gives him the spot as they go back to the bus stop. Brady moves back up into P3, has a rough bus stop again. He has been slippery much of this race tonight. That checks up everyone 4 from back, including his teammates. You take a look at that group right now. Racine Fuzui currently works with Brandon Hawkin now. They try and get a run while Hawkin tries to work on his own again on the high side. Keep an eye on those drivers back to the front stretch. They've gone back and forth like a pendulum swing for the lead all night long. And now Brady forced to check up with his teammates, going back up in the draft as they're side by side for the race lead again.
Ooh, Pagenaud brakes a little bit heavier than I think the cars around him were anticipating. Jams everybody up a little bit, move Hartley back to P1.
Thing is, though, can he keep it? Pagenaud currently working on the high side, breaks a touch. Tries to diamond the corner, Hartley takes the high line again. Better exit for Marcello in the 18 machine, but not enough of a run to force the pass yet. Racine, though, back up to P3 as that all shook up. Again, 7 cars in the lead group, about 2.5 laps to go, with 5:32 to go on the clock to decide the championship for the final round of Season 3 of the Big C's MX-5 Challenge. 2 laps to go at the stripe, Adam. And what we've seen so far, where do you want to be at this point with this race all up for grabs?
Well, we saw Hartley already move from 4th going all the way up to the lead in just the span of going from the exit of the bus stop to the start-finish line. So really, if you're anywhere in that top 3 or 4 cars, you've got a chance at it, but you need somebody to work together with you. I think Hartley's best chance right now would be for one of those cars in the back, Obstacle or Fernandez, to try to work their way up through these Milvano cars and try to get up there to work with Hartley. I think that's going to be their best chance. I'm just waiting for the moment for the Milvano cars to work together and freight train Hartley and send him to the back of this pack.
Christopher Taylor, for note's sake, has just crashed in 16th place, but will stay with the lead group because 5, 6, 7 drivers still fighting hard. As Sean, wanting to get the one, cuts to the left side, to the right side again. Side by side, coming to 2 laps to go with the stripe on the season. Fazuli following his teammate, the Thrustmaster Movano Machines, freight training the Excite Racing driver on the high side. Fazuli lets off to save fuel. Hartley gets help heading into turn 1 from Hopkin as they dive back into the corner.
Ooh, you can see how the bumps there almost played a role. They almost slung Hartley into the side of Hashan, and that would have changed the entire complexion of this thing. But they stay off each other. We stay racing. As right now, Fazui and Brady are back there fighting. That is not what Fazui needs right now.
He needs Brady to try and give him the spot. Brady having a big bobble on the top side, in fact, along the curbing onto the International Horseshoe. Will he let off heading into turn 4? Yes. He gives his teammate the space, but Racine needs to pick up at least one more spot in this next lap and a half to try and secure the championship. He's had the most wins on the season with 4. He's had some daring moves. He even jumped through the grass at one point, trying to pull off strategy. There's a reason he's been one of the key drivers this season, but the consistency of Hartley as the lead driver, looking to try and prevail here. Back to the NASCAR part of the circuit with a lap and a half to go, Adam.
Yeah, there you see Hartley pulling back down into single file, trying to do his best to do what he can to keep those Milvano cars behind him. Fazui, though, Fazui's the one that might need to make a move here. It's going to be very interesting as we get ready to take this white flag here in just a moment.
They do have a lap car that might potentially be a factor if they can reach Clifford Eben, 28th place. Remember, he's had some troubles in this race. He is currently about 15 car lengths up the road in NASCAR 3 and 4. We'll see what happens, though, as they get ready to reach the white flag. Again, 2:13 is on the clock, but the drivers expected to get the white flag this time by to decide the Season 3 championship for the Big C's MX-5 Challenge. Huge run for Breschon, heading towards the white flag. Slingshotting its way past the Excite Racing machine. Racine going forward on the high side, trying to go side by side as they get the white flag at the stripe. 3 wide for the race lead. Letting off is Breschon, letting it come down to the 2 championship competitors. Hartley cuts back down in front. The Racine tries to go for the cross. Hartley gets tight into the grass. One of the Movano cars off in the grass. Racine takes the race lead heading into the International Horseshoe.
That move is exactly what I was expecting. Fazui able to power his way up there. And now Hartley is in the mess behind him. The further back those Movano cars can push him back, that'll give Fazui some breathing room here on the last lap.
Already up, though, by 5 car lengths. Has a big cushion. Hartley tries to close that gap quickly, though. Diving it in hard. Robert Hartley trying to slip his way behind. Loses some time at the corner exit. Still, half a racetrack to go. 6 more turns as they head out of turn 6, heading to NASCAR 1 and 2. Hartley needing to have a strong run, but remember, Adam, the bus stop has been his friend all night long.
And we were talking about, will he be able to make it all the way? This is kind of getting in the danger zone of what you were worried about. He has been saving fuel, though, but he is definitely full throttle right now and actually pulling a little bit of the gap. Kind of surprised Hartley didn't drop down right behind him, but starting to gain on him here as they start to enter the bus stop.
Hartley heading towards turns 8, 9, 10, and 11. Again carrying speed, this time higher line to the middle of it. Getting a bit slippery as one of the Movado cars of Huckin closes the gap behind. And now the question is, can he get the run? Racine Fazuli coming off the corner as Hartley gets turned. Brandon Huckin turns Robert Hartley. The two are off in the grass in NASCAR 3 and 4. And that means one thing. Racine Fazuli, he'll have a teammate of Kenny Brady pass on by to take the round victory, but Racine Fazuli will take the championship. Fazuli wins Season 3's championship for the Big C's MX-5 Challenge. Hartley heading straight to the pits, and that was unfortunate for Hartley, the two-time defending series champion. We'll look at the battle shaping up for now what would be potentially Ps 10 and 11. Austin J. Smith, Reed Cambria trying to fight for more points here. The 78 machine in the Red Bull paint scheme trying to get by on the high side by side. Smith can't get it though. Reed gets the spot to finish off inside the top 10. P13 is also heating up as Medea gets the spot over Nick Carty, the last points paying spot to Nico Arilomi. That was in the conversation at one point, but they're still fighting for the best spots possible to end the campaign. Williams comes away with the 16th behind Nico Kaku, and behind them Owen Watts along with Brian Sabowski, who had a very rough day and a quiet day here at Daytona. Christopher Taylor, after incidents, finished off in 19th. Let's go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your post-race coverage for this year's edition of the championship finale of the Big C's MX-5 Challenge, live from Daytona International Speedway on the Global SimRacing channel. Yes. Welcome back to GSRC's coverage of the Big C's MX-5 Challenge for the minus 273 post-race show. Whether it's on the real track or the virtual track, minus 273 has one goal in mind: to produce the best racing gloves to get the job done. With unmatched comfort, durability, and style, their gloves will leave your old ones in the dust. Find out how they can help you by visiting minus273.biz. The man who got the job done today was Racine Fazuli for the championship, but the man who took the victory was his teammate, Kenny Brady. He had an up-and-down campaign, Brady, but he was able to get the draft by Racine coming to the stripe. It was a 1-2-3 for Ravano Racing in the end as Marcello Pagnon finished off in P number 3 to round up the podium. Steven Van Opstroll came away in 4th with Juan Manuel Fernandez in 5th. Brandon Hawken, despite crashing in the grass with Robert Hartley, still finished 9 seconds back of the race winner in 6th position. It was another 11 seconds back to the next group of cars where Lindroff and Mick Ritchie finished 7th and 8th, with David Siska in 9th. Rick Tomrebra finished off in 10th. Austin Smith and Ashiri Medea finished in 12th. Nick Carty 13th with Nico Arilomi in 14th. His teammate Nico Kaku rounded out the top 15 of the points-paying positions. Rachel Williams came away in 16th in the 51 car, with Owen Watts and Brian Sabalski inside the top 18. Christopher Taylor crashed coming towards the final laps, still came away with a 19th place run. Jose Malbrand finished in 20th, with Lee Martin tangled up with some cars, still finished in 21st. Anthony Downs finished 22nd, with Alex Prem in 23rd, with Lawrence Coleman in 24th, started all the way back in 37th. Decent run to the end. Peter Bostro lost 5 spots to 25th, but Clifford Evan had a rough race. Involved in a couple incidents, came away 2 minutes and 8 seconds behind the race winner as the last car in the lead lap in 26th. Robert Hartley didn't make it to the checker flag after being involved with the incident with Hawken. Sent it to pit lane and put it on the tow, sent it directly to the garage before taking the checker flag. He finishes the last race of the season in 27th. Fabian Ponce in 28th, with Paulo Cambrea in 29th. Sergio Garcia Lopez is 30th, with Jorge Ordonez Valerias in 31st. Austin Johnson, Renaud Lefebvre in 33rd. Jonas Seeger crashed twice, not just the once, for 34th spot. Luis Felipe Calderon finished 16 laps down, with Glenn Burden and Juan Morris Torres 37. Torres involved with that incident we referred to in the opening laps of the day. Richard Mason finished 18 laps down, the last driver to take the grid. Anthony Burles, Kip Stevens, and Brian Bernhardt did not make the start today, and what was a thrilling season finale for the Big C's MX-5 Challenge. A lot to break down here after a crazy finish here, Adam. But first things first, the man who took the checker flag was Kenny Brady. Kenny, congratulations on your first win of the season.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
A lot happened in that lead group, a lot to unpack. The battle for the championship going on around you. And you were amongst the drivers again, coming to the stripe, looking for the run. Talk us through what was going through your mind as you were heading to the white flag and everyone was shuffling with the championship and the race win both on the line.
Yeah, so, I was, running with a bunch of my teammates there. Obviously, Racine was my teammate, and I was just being, really patient throughout the race, just making sure, nothing stupid happened. No one got caught up in any wrecks or anything, just keeping the team together in the top 5 and, coming to the white. I was running, I think, 4th or 5th, and, I was just making sure that, I didn't hit anybody under braking or have anyone overtake me. So I could, set myself up coming out of the bus stop. And, when we came out of the bus stop running 4th there, I really didn't think I could get around up into the lead. But after that wreck with Robert and Brandon, it just allowed me to just have the perfect gap to Racine to get around them and get to the flag first.
And of course, we've seen a lot of draft come into play. Your teammates and you all hooking up together the entire run, essentially, from practice to qualifying to the race itself. Again, you mentioned that in part wanting to stick together here. How difficult was it to try and do that with Of course, Hartley wanting to fight for the championship, and guys like Fernandez at the back end of the group looking to get runs.
Yeah, at the start of the race, it was a little difficult because we had those two guys, overtaking a little bit, and they're racing. We're all trying to race here, so it's not the easiest thing, even when you have four cars up there to keep everyone out of the top four necessarily. That was our, if that was the plan or not. But as the race went on, we somehow made it work. Through the pit stops, we all got back out just how we came in, so that worked. And I don't know, uh, that's just yeah.
Now, it's a huge victory for you, your first of the season, and a huge victory for your team, not just the race, but the championship. Where's the focus from here now after a strong run for Movano Racing in the end, especially with a lot of veteran drivers joining the organization mid-series, mid-season rather?
Yeah, it was a hell of a race. I'm speechless as you can tell. I don't really know what to say. These guys brought me on about a month ago, and last week was my first race with them, and come on so early and how friendly they all are, and how much you know advice they give me, and how well we work in the races already. Just second race, together. At least for me, they formed the team earlier to come on here and second race with them, win the race. Perfect teamwork all through every lap. It's really hard to do, especially in a race like this with the draft and all this stuff, and how many good drivers are on the series to have all of us come here and work together and get there at the end. And obviously for Racine, through the whole race, I wanted to get up there, take the lead, but big picture, helping Racine, stay calm and stay in position to win the title. For me to win, get my first career win, and have Racine lock up that championship, it's awesome.
Is there anyone you want to thank for being a part of your victory today, Kenny?
Yeah, first off, I want to thank everyone at Movano for taking me on. Like I said, Brandon, Racine, Marcello, everyone there that has helped me out in these cars in just the short time I've been here. I just want to thank all, my supporters that have support me through here. Like my friends Donovan, my brother Max, all these guys. My friend Cam, or Cliff, I should say, who is the league owner. Um, can't thank him enough for putting this league on, and it's been a long time coming. I feel like I've had a few times to get up there and try to go for the win. It's just never worked out. Maybe pit road issues or just racing deals. But it's awesome to finally get this win, especially at the end of the season.
Congratulations on the race victory, Kenny.
Thank you.
Kenny Brady off to celebrate in victory lane once more with his first win of the season, but a bigger celebration for his teammate Racine Fazuli winning the championship. A strong campaign, Racine. How does it feel to be Season three's champion for the Big C's MX-5 Challenge?
Hi. It feels great. It feels awesome. This is my first ever league season in iRacing, and competing against the guy who's we've seen this year. Uh, Me, all of my teammates, Hartley, Evo, I believe Hunt make the no Maxim Bunovic, Hunt, all of those guys, Juan. I forgot plenty of names, all top iRacers, and to just come here on my first season to win the championship, that's amazing.
Yes, indeed, a strong campaign, the most wins on the season with four, and some chills and spills at times with some of the interesting moves you made, including that jump along at Road America. But in the end, strong finish today. Talk us through what your team strategy was. It was mentioned by Kenny wanting to stick together here today,
Yes.
and they were looked like from up here, and as mentioned by him wanting to help you along
Yep.
the whole entire day
Yep.
to the finish.
Yeah, I told him at the beginning of the race we had a little debrief, and I told him, look, if Hartley finishes first, I need third. If second, I need sixth. Blah blah blah. And then I told him, if you want to race me hard, but make sure you make the move, or make sure we stay cycling, because all we wanted us to come as a collective into the pit stops with enough fuel for everyone at around the same numbers, because we didn't want to go off sequence, because we were a strong force. us four drivers sticking together, going up to the lead. It's hard for anyone to make a move as we've seen today, especially down to turn one. So yeah, thank you for Movano Racing Team for supporting me uh, midway through the season and on, and I'm really looking forward for my career with them.
Indeed, a very strong team on the iRacing service, one of the elite road course programs and all of the service there. But of course, with not just the championship, you also come away with the first place prize, a GTAF simulator from GTR Simulator. What are you gonna, first of all, what are you going to do with the simulator? Two, how does it feel to get such a good simulator that gives you space for not just place to sit, but the gear shifter, three monitors, your steering wheel, and your pedals?
I'll use it. 100% I'll use it because right now I'm in an office chair, and I changed the wheels, the caster wheels for flat feet, so I can get stability and everything. So yeah, I'll definitely give it a go, and I'm looking forward to receiving it.
Indeed, congratulations again on the championship and a crazy finish as well here at Daytona with the back and forth affair. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go for being a part of your championship campaign with Nevada Racing?
Yup, yeah. But first, for the season, I want to thank all the sponsors: SimRacing Studio, Turn Racing, Minus 273, and GTR Simulator for sponsoring this season. It's an unbelievable season and it's really competitive. I want to thank Clifford Eben for the organization. It's our third season now. We're still running. We're still a lot of drivers. We're still packed in the field. We're still competing. So that's really uh um how can you say this? I'm looking forward to season 4, 5, and 6. And also, I want to thank GSRC for their great coverage all year long. It's been great to have you guys participating with us. I'm looking at replays and I get drawn into the whole race, and I just right before sleep, and then I fall asleep on it. So just to give you how good a vibe the coverage is. And also, last but not least, I want to thank Movano Racing Team, myself, and my parents for all letting me time and giving me motivation to run this series and to run the MX-5 and to run iRacing. And I'm looking forward for everything else in the future. Thank you to everyone.
Congratulations on the championship, Rasim. A strong performance. Rasim Fazuli, your season number 3 Big C's MX-5 Challenge champion. But Adam Young standing by with one of the Air Movano Racing drivers and Brandon Hawkin. Adam, over to you.
Yeah, Brandon, great race being up there all race long. You were put in a position to have to be in the lead there coming down to pit stops that you watching your review mirror wait for those Mobano guys to come down. But obviously, I hate to do it, but we got to talk about that last lap. Just a heartbreaker there going through NASCAR 3 and 4.
Hey Adam, yeah, that was I'm bummed about that for sure. Yeah, I was trying to line up to get a really good run on Racine to potentially get the win there on the like coming down to the start finish line, and yeah, I just I like Robert left the door open, so I went low, and then I don't know, like he must have tried to block or something. Yeah, it's just a crappy situation for both of us because yeah, I mean, obviously there was a really tight battle with him and Racine for the championship. I had a really tight one with Marcello for third, and yeah, it just didn't work out at the end, unfortunately.
Well, at the same time, though, you had a chance, and you had a chance going throughout the entire day. What was it like running up there in that lead pack racing the way you guys were?
It was a lot of fun, actually. Yeah, like the four of us were working together really nicely as we always do, and yeah, saving lots of gas. And I actually felt kind of bad there for Robert because he was pretty outnumbered, but yeah, we worked together really nicely, and we worked the strategy really well. And yeah, I'm just just a little bit bummed about the end, but man, it was a great season. Thanks so much to Thrustmaster Movano for having me on board, and yeah, we'll get him next time.
Well, hey, that's how you roll, and hey, next season it's a completely different season, so hopefully we'll see you around.
Oh yeah, you will for sure. Thank you, and yeah, thanks to you guys for the awesome broadcasts all year, and Clifford for the series, and yeah, it's been a good.
That was Brandon Hawken coming away sixth today after that last lap collision with Robert Hartley off of NASCAR 3. I'd like to thank once again Kenny Brady, Racine Fazuli, as well as Brandon Hawken for taking the time to speak with us here, but a very strong end to the season here. For the drivers that finished in second place in the championship, they will get a Power Win kit from SimRacing Studio. Third place will get minus 273 racing gloves for their performances this season in Big C's MX-5 Challenge here. But as we wrap things up with the minus 273 post-race show here, Adam, your final thoughts on after today's fantastic finale.
Well, I mean, it shaped up exactly like we thought it would. Large lead pack, guys going toward it to the end, and ultimately championship came down to the last couple of corners. You can't ask for a much better finale.
Indeed, so far, we'd like to thank GTR Simulator SimRacing Studio Turn Racing and minus 273 for sponsoring this season's racing action, as well as the series' title sponsor, Big C. It was a wonderful season from start to finish with a lot of throwing action, multiple race winners, and in the end, a throwing battle to decide the championship here in Daytona. We'd also like to thank the series' organizer, Clifford Evan, for organizing this eventful series, and again, Racine Fazuli taking the championship. We'd also like to thank the companies that provide our software and hardware for our broadcast, listed now on your screen, with additional thanks to Jude Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more for great work. Thanks to the team today of Adam Young and Sean Ambrose. They did a phenomenal job today. I'd like to thank them for being a part of the season's coverage, as well as our fellow commentators and producers throughout the season of Joe Peak, Taylor Burris, and the many others who were part of our coverage throughout season number 3. For more information about the Global Sim Racing channel, including upcoming races, you can find it at theglobalsimracingchannel.com, where you can check out our social media at Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, or Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head over to our YouTube page as well, where you can hit that big red subscribe button, as well as the notification bell, so you don't miss a moment here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We have a multiple magnitude of races coming up for other series and more coming up on the Global Sim Racing channel, as well as on the iRacing Esports Network. Be sure to check those out and mark them down in your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.